Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to jump into a skill that is so fundamental to being human, but it's one we kind of forget how to use. We're talking about the incredible power of storytelling.
So, here's what we've got lined up. We're going to talk about why storytelling has become this forgotten language. We'll look at the 5 different kinds of storytellers. Then, we're diving into the toolkit, the how-to. We'll figure out when a story is the best tool for the job, and we'll wrap up with why your story is your own unique signature.
All right, first up, the forgotten language. It might sound a little dramatic, but we're going to dig into why, in this world that's all about data and logic, we've kind of lost that natural human ability to just connect through a good story.
Okay, get this. This number is wild. Studies show that a whopping 65% of our everyday conversations are, you guessed it, stories. Just think about it. It's the gossip. It's the, you won't believe what happened to me. It's, let me tell you about my weekend. See? It's not some formal art form. It's literally how we're built to communicate.
But here's the catch. The minute we step into our professional lives, we're hammered with logic, right? It's numbers, data, reports, spreadsheets, number. And that logical part of our brain just completely takes over. We forget that so many of the challenges we face can be solved or at least handled better with a simple story. So that leads to the big question. In a serious, high-stakes situation, how much can a simple story really do? Well, let's look at a classic example. You can see this perfectly in a presidential debate. A woman in the audience asked the candidates how the national debt had personally affected them. George Bush Sr. gave this very logical, kind of abstract answer about the economy. But Bill Clinton, he walked right up to her, looked her in the eye, and told a story. He talked about people he knew back home in Arkansas who had lost their jobs, the struggles they were facing. He made it personal. He connected. And in that moment, he didn't just win the point, he won the whole debate. Not because he had better data, but because he was the better storyteller. And that power, that ability to connect, well, it brings us to the different kinds of storytellers out there. Because this skill, it's a tool, and it can be used for all sorts of things, from genuine inspiration to straight-up manipulation.
Yep, storytelling is definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. You've got your persuaders, the ones trying to win you over. You've got inspirers, think of a great pastor or a coach. There are revolutionaries who can spark entire movements with a narrative. Then you have those amazing people who just tap into your potential. And on the flip side, you have manipulators, con artists. They're all using the exact same core skill.
And look, the technology has changed, obviously. From the printing press in 1450, which let stories spread like wildfire, to television in 1925, piping them right into our homes, and now social media, where everyone has a broadcast channel. The medium keeps changing, but the core truth doesn't. The people who win, the people who we listen to, they are always the best storytellers.
Okay, so how do they do it? Let's get really practical here. We're going to open up the Storyteller's Toolkit and look at the 11 essential things you can start using, like right now.
All right, 2 of the big ones right off the bat, anticipation and surprise. A great storyteller makes you physically lean in. They build this tension, the sense of, okay, what happens next? They create that curiosity, and then, bam, they hit you with a twist, something you just did not see coming. That's what keeps you glued to every word.
So what makes a story feel real, like you're actually there? It all comes down to the details. The speaker in our source material tells this story about being 15 years old. He remembers sitting in the back of a car in Glendale in front of a Video 2020, and it was pouring rain. This was 25 years ago, but he remembers it so vividly because of those specific sensory details.
And that's the absolute magic of it. The right details transport your audience. You don't want to drown them in boring facts, but you have to give them just enough so they can build the scene in their own minds, so they feel like they are right there next to you.
But of course, it's not just what you say, right? It's how you say it. The delivery is huge. It's the ebb and flow of your voice. Sometimes you get quiet to really draw people in, and other times you raise your voice to make a point. It's about the energy you bring and using your body language naturally. All of that is what makes the audience feel the story.
And to round out the kit, a few more quick but crucial tools. You got to involve your audience, make them part of it. You have to paint a picture with your words. Show your real feelings. Don't just tell us about them. And every great story builds to a climax, that one peak moment that makes everyone go, wow. So after all that, what's the ultimate test? How do you know if you've told a truly great story? It's actually super simple. A story is great if other people retell it. If it's so good that it gets passed on, then you know you've nailed it.
Okay, so we've got the toolkit. But that brings up a really important question. When do you actually use it? Because knowing the right moment to tell a story is just as critical as knowing how to tell it well.
Let's break it down. Here are 3 times when telling a story isn't just a good idea, it's essential. Number 1, in moments of tension. A story can completely change the energy in a room. Number 2, when you need to validate a point. Facts and figures are fine, but a story is what convinces people. And number 3, when you're raising kids.
This is so true, especially with kids. The speaker shares this beautiful story about praying with his children for a family friend who was going through a tough time. The kids weren't just being told to be empathetic. They were living inside a story about empathy and hope. And because it was a story, they remembered it. They retold it. They actually got the lesson in a way a lecture could never have taught them.
All right, this brings us to our final part. And honestly, this might be the most important one. This is where we stop thinking about storytelling as just a skill and start seeing it as a fundamental part of who you are. Seriously, just think about it for a second. How many things in this world do you truly, uniquely own? There's your signature, there's your fingerprint, and then there's your story. Nobody else on this planet has your experiences, your perspective. It belongs to you and only you.
And it all starts with this. Before you can expect anyone else to care about your story, you have to be fascinated by it. You have to value it, own it, and recognize the power that's sitting right there inside your own life experiences.
Because at the end of the day, your story is your impact. It's how you leave your mark on the world. It's the legacy you create. There is only one you. And sharing your unique narrative is how you're going to connect with people, and maybe even change things.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. You have a signature, a fingerprint, and a story that only you can tell. So, what story are you going to make an impact with?